Imagine there's a secret that makes anyone stand out, be admired, and desired, even without saying a word. It's like having a superpower that makes others want to be around you, get curious about you, and wish to spend more time by your side. Pretty cool, right? Today, I'm going to share with you 9 golden rules that have the power to spark desire and admiration in anyone, especially from women. These secrets come from Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that teaches how to live strong and authentically with confidence and calmness. And you know what's amazing? These rules aren't tricks or magic, but powerful attitudes that show who you truly are, and that's what no one can resist. Let's imagine a story together. Once upon a time, there was a guy named Leo. He was as ordinary as any other guy, but he always wondered why some guys caught the attention of girls so easily. He started observing and realized that these guys had something different, a confidence that seemed magical, as if nothing could shake them. Leo discovered that they followed some golden rules, and he decided to try them out. Little by little, he became someone who attracted attention and earned respect without having to try so hard. Want to discover these rules and understand how Leo became that guy everyone couldn't resist? Then stick around and dive into this journey with us. These are the 9 golden rules of desire that you can apply to become irresistible. Let's go. And let's go to the first rule. But before that, just check if you're already subscribed to the channel. Because here on this channel, in the upcoming videos, there will be a series of content that will help you improve your mindset and behavior. Rule 1. Engaging conversations. Imagine you're in a circle of friends, and suddenly, someone starts telling such a great story, full of details, that everyone stops what they're doing to listen. Every word this person says seems more interesting than the last, and before you know it, everyone is laughing, participating, and feeling part of that conversation. This is the power of an engaging conversation. But what makes a conversation engaging, after all? Let's take a look at how you can turn any ordinary conversation into something amazing and unforgettable. First, you need to pay attention to what others are saying. It's no use trying to be the center of attention all the time by telling your stories non-stop. An engaging conversation starts when you care about what the other person is saying. If someone begins talking about something that happened at work or during their day, show genuine interest. This makes the person feel heard, and in turn, they'll be more willing to listen to you too. Now, when it's your turn to speak, it's not just about the content, but about how you tell the story. Imagine you're about to tell someone how your day went. If you simply say, "It was fine, nothing special," the conversation will likely end there. But if you add details like how you felt, the little surprises, what caught your attention, people will want to hear more. The secret is to be descriptive and show the emotion involved. Let's take an example. Joao is about to tell the story of how he met a new friend. If he says, "I met a new guy today," the story doesn't have much emotion. But if he says, "I was at the cafe, having my espresso, and then he walked in, looking a bit lost, staring at the menu," I decided to strike up a conversation, and from there, we couldn't stop talking. We laughed so much. Now, this makes the listener feel like they were there, experiencing the moment. Pauses are powerful too. Don't be afraid to stay silent for a second, especially when you're sharing something important or intriguing. The pause creates suspense and makes the listener wait for the next part of the story. This makes the conversation much more interesting. And most importantly, be authentic. When you come across as genuine, people feel that the conversation is more authentic and real. We always prefer to hear a story that feels real, that makes us feel like it's happening in that exact moment. Remember, an engaging conversation is a two-way exchange. It's not just about what you say, but also about how you respond to what others are saying. Engagement happens when you make the other person feel part of the conversation and when you can create an emotional connection with what's being said, whether at work, with friends, or even on a first date. The most engaging conversations are those that make everyone feel like they're experiencing the moment together. Rule 2. Balance and interest. Have you ever noticed how some conversations can feel like a scale? On one side, you have your interest, and on the other person's interest. The trick to a successful conversation is keeping that balance in check, so no one feels ignored or, conversely, overwhelmed. Now, imagine you're in a conversation with someone who only talks about themselves. It's like they're holding a soccer ball. recounting every detail of their life without stopping, and you're standing there trying to get a word in, but you can't. Ever had that feeling of being ignored? That's what happens when the interest is all on one side. The conversation becomes a monologue, not an exchange. On the other hand, it's also not good to be the type of person who talks so much about others that you forget to share your own experiences. For a conversation to be engaging and enjoyable, it needs balance. So, how do you find this balance? Here are some practical tips. Pay attention to the other person's body language. If you notice they're starting to look around, fiddling with their phone, or showing signs of disinterest, it's a sign that you might be talking too much. But, on the other hand, if they're making eye contact, smiling, and asking questions, it means you're keeping the conversation interesting. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of asking something like, "How was your day?" Try something more open like, "What was the most interesting thing that happened today?" This invites the person to open up and share their thoughts without you having to steer the conversation in one direction. Be willing to listen. True interest isn't just in asking questions, but also in actively listening to what the other person is saying. Sometimes, listening is more valuable than speaking, and when you listen, the person feels respected and valued, which creates a stronger connection. Balance your speaking time. A good rule of thumb is not to talk more than 50% of the time. If you realize you're talking more, stop for a bit and give the other person space. And if you notice the other person is talking too much, a tip is to ask a question that allows them to hear your opinion as well. Share personal experiences, but without overdoing it. When you share something about your life, it makes the conversation richer and more human. But if you dominate the topic, the other person may feel left out. Find the right balance in sharing your stories, so people also feel like they're being heard. The secret to balance is simple: give and take. Just like in any other exchange in life, a healthy conversation requires both parties to share and show equal interest. This balance not only makes the conversation more enjoyable, but it also strengthens bonds and creates an environment of mutual respect. Remember, if someone feels heard and respected, the chance for the conversation to flow smoothly is much higher. Rule 3. Be unexpected. Take Joao as an example. Joao was like most people. He did the same things every day. He would wake up, have coffee, go to work, come home, and of course, always dress the same way. His friends, and even the girls he knew exactly what to expect from him. But Joao didn't realize that his predictability was making everything quite boring. People started to notice that he never did anything different. One day, Joao had an idea. He thought, what if I were a little more surprising? What if I did something different, something people wouldn't expect? So, the next day, Joao did something no one imagined. He wore a different outfit, made a funny comment at work, and at the end of the day, he invited his friends on a surprise outing. What happened? Everyone was surprised. People started seeing Joao in a new light. He was no longer the predictable guy. He brought some excitement to their day, and that made everyone more interested in being around him. And the lesson Joao learned: when you're predictable, people already know everything about you. But when you become unexpected, you keep the spark alive, make people curious, and, most importantly, make them feel more alive when they're around you. Be unexpected, don't be afraid to surprise. Life is much more fun when there's something new waiting for us. So, have you ever heard about this rule? Did you know it existed? Leave a comment if you've experienced it, or if you know someone who's gone through it. I'll help you out in the comments. Rule 4. Respect in the right measure. Imagine you have a friend named Lucas. Lucas is a really nice guy, always polite and very respectful to everyone. He treats everyone with kindness and never says no to anyone. But over time, people started to notice that he was always doing what others wanted. He never took his own initiative, had no opinion on anything, and sometimes it seemed like he was more concerned with pleasing others than being himself. It turns out that Lucas began to realize that this was affecting his friendships. People liked him, but they also felt that he didn't have much of a personality. He didn't give his opinion, didn't make decisions. He was always in pleasing everyone mode, but at the same time, no one saw Lucas as someone they could have a deeper connection with. That's when he decided to change things a bit. Lucas started being more confident, taking his own decisions, and showing that he also had his own desires and wants. But he didn't stop being respectful. He began to balance respect with a bit of boldness. Sometimes he said no when he needed to, and he also started suggesting different ideas in the group without the fear of being rejected. What happened? People started seeing Lucas differently. They realized that he had character, that he knew where his limits were, and that he wasn't afraid to be authentic. And most importantly, Lucas felt more confident and free. He learned that respecting others is very important, but it's even more important to respect yourself. The key was balance. The lesson Lucas learned was clear. Being respectful is essential, but if you overdo it and lose your authenticity, you might end up being seen as someone without presence. The secret is finding a balance between respecting others and being yourself. Rule 5. Invest in your style. Let's say you're at an event with several people. Everyone is dressed more or less the same, but then, suddenly, you notice someone who stands out. It's not because they're wearing expensive or extravagant clothes, but something about them catches your attention. They have a unique style, something that matches who they are. Maybe it's a shirt with a cool print, a distinctive accessory, or even the way they dress that makes you think, wow, this really suits them. That someone is Raphael. He doesn't spend a fortune on clothes, but there's something about him that makes everyone notice. Raphael always knew that the way he presents himself says a lot about how he sees himself, and he learned that it's not about following all the latest trends or wearing something just because it's in style. The secret is having a style that matches your personality. When he went to an event, he wasn't worried about what others would think. He knew that his style was a way of showing the world who he was. And guess what? Everyone at the event noticed. People started approaching him, talking, and wanting to know more about him. Raphael's style wasn't just about appearance, it was about confidence. He wasn't hiding behind clothes, but expressing himself through them. What Raphael understood, and what you can learn too, is that style is not about expensive clothes, but about how you feel about yourself. Your style is a way to show the world your identity. When you choose clothes that resonate with who you are, it sends a message of self-respect, and people notice. When you're comfortable with who you are, that shines brighter than any expensive outfit. The lesson here is clear. Invest in a style that makes you feel good, that represents you. It doesn't matter if the piece is expensive or cheap. What matters is that it makes you feel secure and confident. Style is a reflection of your inner self, and the confidence you exude is what truly impresses the people around you. Alright, let's move on to the 6th rule, but before we do, I noticed that you haven't liked this video yet. It's really important so that YouTube keeps recommending our content and we can keep helping you. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free, thanks. Now, let's continue. Rule 6. Take the initiative. Let's imagine the following situation. You're on a date with someone who is very interesting and the conversation is going well. But then, suddenly, there's that moment of silence. Everyone is looking at their drink, waiting for someone to break the ice. Who will do it? If you wait for the other person to take the initiative, the moment may pass by, and the energy of the conversation could disappear. But if you take the lead, the mood changes. Think of Pedro, for example. He was having dinner with a girl he met at an event. During the meal, there was a moment of silence, and Pedro realized it was time to act. He leaned forward, smiled, and confidently suggested they take a walk in the park nearby. He wasn't waiting for her to ask. He just made the move. And the best part was that when she agreed, they started walking and talking more openly, feeling more comfortable. She felt secure because Pedro showed that he had a plan, a direction. Taking the initiative doesn't mean being bossy or arrogant. It simply means being someone who isn't afraid to take risks. It means knowing what you want and acting naturally without forcing anything. When you lead, even with small actions, you convey a sense of security and confidence. And that's something people notice and admire. When you take control of a situation, even in the simplest things, like suggesting a place to go or choosing the music, it shows that you're someone others can rely on. Now, imagine if Pedro had just sat there, waiting for the girl to make all the decisions. He could have been sitting there, not knowing what to do, and maybe the date would have lost its spark. But by taking the initiative, Pedro not only brought more fun and movement to the date, but he also made the girl see him as a leader, someone she could count on to make the moment more interesting. The moral of the story is simple. Don't be afraid to be the person who makes things happen. Be the first to suggest something new, to take the lead, to show that you have the confidence to guide the situation. This not only impresses but also creates an atmosphere of respect and attraction. So, had you heard of this rule before? Did you know it existed? Drop a comment if you've ever experienced this, or if you know someone who has. I'll be there to help you in the comments. Rule 7. Use of humor. Have you ever noticed how some people have the ability to make any situation lighter and more fun? This happens thanks to humor, and when used the right way, it can turn even the most serious conversations into relaxed and enjoyable moments. Imagine you're having a conversation with a friend, and they start telling a funny story. Suddenly, everything feels lighter, tensions disappear, and the connection between you grows. This happens because humor has the incredible ability to break the ice and make people feel more at ease. Now, the key to using humor is finding the right moment for it. When you tell a joke or make a playful comment, the goal isn't just to make people laugh. The goal is to create a connection, and that needs to be done with sensitivity. Here are some ways to use humor effectively. Pay attention to the context. Humor is like a tool. When you use it at the right time, it's super useful. But if you use it at the wrong time, it can backfire. For example, if someone is talking about a serious problem, making a joke might seem insensitive. It's best to wait for the right moment to introduce a playful comment, especially if you notice the other person is more relaxed or looking for a way to lighten the mood. Avoid offensive humor. Humor is a great way to create bonds, but when it touches on sensitive topics or makes someone uncomfortable, it can have the opposite effect. It's not cool to make jokes about appearance, beliefs, or anything that might hurt someone. Remember, humor should be light and inclusive, so everyone feels good. Use self-deprecation carefully. Sometimes, laughing at yourself can be a great way to break the ice. When you make a light-hearted joke about something funny that happened to you, you show that you're comfortable and willing to laugh at yourself. This can create a sense of equality, making people feel more at ease. But be careful. Don't overdo it. The idea is to keep it light, not to put yourself down too much. Seize the right moments for jokes. Sometimes, the best jokes come from everyday situations. Imagine you're in a funny situation, like someone mispronouncing a word or stumbling over something simple. By pointing this out in a humorous and light way, you create a fun moment for everyone without forcing anything. The key is not to overplan the humor, but to let it flow naturally when it comes up. Smile and use the right tone. How you use humor isn't just about what you say, but how you say it. A sincere smile, a relaxed tone of voice, and even the pause you take before telling a joke make all the difference. Genuine humor is always more effective than humor that feels forced. Humor isn't just about making people laugh, it's about creating a more relaxed atmosphere where everyone feels good. When used correctly, it can be a bridge that brings people closer, helps resolve conflicts, and of course, makes any conversation more fun. So, the next time you're in a conversation, remember the power of laughter. It might just be the key to creating a pleasant environment, building a deep connection, and of course, making everything a lot lighter. Humor truly is one of the best tools we have, isn't it? Now, let's move on to the next topic. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep receiving the upcoming content. Rule 8. Authenticity. Now, imagine you're in a room full of people and among them, one person stands out. It's not because of expensive clothes or extravagant behavior, but because they seem to be themselves. They speak the way they think, act without trying to impress anyone, and are completely comfortable in their own skin. That, my friend, is authenticity. Now, you might be wondering, but what does it really mean to be authentic? Let's start with a story. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Joao. He always wanted to please others, so he started wearing clothes he didn't like and even talking about things he wasn't interested in, just to fit in. But the more he did this, the more lost he felt. One day, he decided to be honest with himself. He put on a simple t-shirt, talked about what he really liked, and to his surprise, people started to approach him, not because of his appearance, but because of his essence. Authenticity is not about being perfect or always pleasing everyone. It's about being true to yourself. That means expressing who you truly are without fear of judgment and without hiding behind a mask you think others expect to see. Here are some ways to be more authentic in your interactions. Accept who you are. True authenticity begins when you accept your qualities and even your imperfections. We all have flaws and moments of weakness. The secret is not hiding it, but using them as part of your story. This creates a real connection with people because they can relate to your vulnerability. Be consistent in your words and actions. It's no use saying one thing and doing another. When you're authentic, your words and actions align. People notice this, and they know they can trust you. There's nothing more attractive than someone who isn't afraid to be genuine, even if it means being different from what others expect. Stop trying to be perfect. Authenticity is precisely not trying to fit into society's standards or the expectations of others. Perfection is an illusion, and no one truly connects with an unreal version of you. People connect with the real, with who you really are. Show your imperfections, your tastes, your values. That's what makes you unique. Respect others, but don't let them shape you. Being authentic doesn't mean being rude or disrespectful. It means being honest and true to yourself while respecting others' freedom and space. When you're clear about your values, it becomes easier to identify what you truly want and what doesn't make sense to you. Be comfortable with what you say and do. If you're always wondering what others will think, you'll never be 100% authentic. When you're comfortable with your own choices and opinions, that's when authenticity truly shines. And remember, other people's opinions don't define who you are. The beauty of authenticity is that it attracts the right people. When you're genuine, you become a beacon for those who feel connected to your truth. Instead of living to please everyone, you allow yourself to be who you really are, and surprisingly, this creates deeper and truer relationships. Being authentic isn't about being perfect or popular. It's about being honest with yourself and with others. So, the next time you feel tempted to hide behind a mask or try to be something you're not, remember, the real magic happens when you allow yourself to be you. And believe me, the world will respect you so much more for it. Authenticity is a superpower, and when you start using it, things become more natural and connected. Let's move on to the next topic. Rule 9. Reading the signals. Think about it. You're at a party full of people, and you're interested in talking to someone. You can approach them and start talking, but how do you know if they really want to talk to you? Or better yet, how can you tell if they're actually interested in you, without asking directly? This is where the power of reading the signals comes in. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this. Once upon a time, there was a young man named Lucas. He was at a party and suddenly saw a girl he thought was interesting. He really wanted to talk to her, but wasn't sure how. So, he decided to watch her from a distance, waiting for the right moment. He noticed that every time he looked in her direction, she would smile slightly, hold eye contact longer than usual, and even made a gesture like she wanted him to approach. Lucas, paying attention to these signals, went up to her and guess what? The conversation flowed naturally, and they hit it off really well. Reading signals is an essential skill when it comes to social interactions, especially at the beginning of a conversation or relationship. But what does it really mean? When you observe the signals in your interactions with people, you're understanding not only what they say, but also what they don't say. And that's where the true art of communication lies. Believe me, what's unsaid is often more powerful than words. Here are some tips to improve your ability to read signals. Pay attention to body language. The way someone positions themselves or moves their body speaks volumes, often more than words. If someone comes closer, makes frequent eye contact, or even turns their whole body towards you, it indicates interest. On the other hand, if they cross their arms or avoid eye contact, it may be a sign that they feel uncomfortable or disinterested. Observe the tone of voice and speaking pace. Sometimes, the way someone speaks reveals more about their feelings than the words themselves. If the person speaks in a soft, relaxed tone, it means they're at ease. If their speech is faster, with a dry tone, it may be a sign of nervousness, impatience, or a lack of interest. Pay attention to touch. When appropriate, touch is one of the clearest signs of interest. If someone places a hand on your shoulder, gently touches your arm, or gets physically closer without it feeling forced, it may indicate that they're comfortable with the interaction and want to continue the conversation. Of course, everyone has their own boundaries regarding touch, so it's important to pay attention to how the other person reacts. Read facial expressions. A person's face reveals a lot about what they're thinking or feeling. Genuine smiles, raised eyebrows, or an attentive look are signs that they're engaged in the conversation. On the other hand, a blank look, yawning, or closed-off expressions could indicate boredom or distraction. Mirroring. If someone starts to mimic your gestures or adopts a similar posture to yours, that's a great sign. This is called mirroring, and it's an unconscious technique people use when they feel comfortable and connected. If they start doing what you do, like crossing their legs or moving their hands in the same way, it's a sign that they're connecting with you. Reading signals isn't a skill that develops overnight, but with practice, you start noticing these little details and understanding better how people are truly feeling about you. This makes interactions more natural because you already know how to act based on the signals you're receiving. Now, remember one very important thing. Don't get obsessed with trying to read every signal all the time. Communication is a constant flow of words and actions, and the most important thing is to stay attentive and respectful of the other person's reactions. When you start paying attention to these signals, you'll find that you can connect with people in a deeper, more intuitive way, without needing to force anything. Reading signals is one of the keys to better understanding human interactions. It makes communication smoother and less prone to misunderstandings. So, how about putting it into practice and starting to notice more of what others are saying without words? See how many powerful things you can do to become someone truly irresistible. We've covered several golden rules that can transform the way you connect and attract people around you. But hold on, there's one very important thing I want to emphasize before wrapping up. Of everything we've discussed, reading signals is the most essential secret in seduction. Think of it like a puzzle. Understanding the signals the other person is sending, whether through looks, smiles, or even the way they speak, is what makes everything fit together. When you learn to notice and respond to these signals, connections happen in a natural, almost magical way. You stay tuned to what the person really wants and communicate in a way they didn't even realize they were waiting for. So, keep an eye on the signals. That's what truly differentiates someone who just talks from someone who truly attracts. Now subscribe, share this video with your friends, and leave a like. And remember, it all starts by observing and learning to read the signals around you. See you in the next video.